We delve into the emotional toll the recent raid on Boersen Farms is having on local farmers. Now is the time to scout corn and soybean fields for foliar diseases, and MDARD weighs in on MEEP standards for 2022. I'm Janelle Brose, and this is Farm News 5.
Farm News 5 is brought to you by Ford.
We begin with an update to a story we first brought you last month through Michigan Farm News and Farm News 5. In early June, federal investigators raided Boersen Farms in Zeeland, part of a financial fraud investigation. According to court documents, the Boersens once farmed more than 100,000 acres, both on their own land and land they rented from other farms. Today, we talked to one of the farm families that rented to Boersen Farms, a family that banded together to fight through a life-threatening illness. When they emerged from that near tragedy, they were faced with a new one. Boersen Farms hadn't paid rent on their land for years and owed them nearly $500,000.
And I was so sick I could not eat, and my brain virtually shut down. I couldn't even function. It's when you lose your mind, there's nothing worse than to lose your mind. You know, you have all these injuries and they hurt and this and that, but when you lose your mind, it's the worst.
He's the leader. He took care of me and the family. So then it's like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm having to make these calls, and I spoke to Stacy most of the time. I guess about the same amount, Dennis and her. But I remember calling her one time saying, we have a $60,000 payment coming up in May. Do you think you can at least give that much? And she said, oh yeah, my accountant's right here. Yes, we can do that. But it never would show up. And it's like I'm trying to keep things afloat. So if, you know, when he got well, he'd be proud that I could, you know, keep things going. But I remember one time getting an email from Stacy, and she had the wrong amount, and she said, oh, I must still be on vacation brain. It's like, how do you take that? You know, it's like, you're on vacation, you owe us money, and my husband's dying. You know, it was hard. So yeah, it was hard. And then our kids, you know, you can't hide things from kids, even though they're adults, and they see it, and it's tough.
Everybody kept so quiet. They didn't want to bring that up and stress me out anymore. So everybody kept quiet, and they wanted to keep me alive. So we put that totally on a back burner. Dennis did make promises, and I believed him because he treated me very good those first 5 years. And I was in survival mode is what I was. I lost this 70 plus pounds, and I was very, very ill. And I just had confidence in Dennis that he would pay me. Quite a large number of individual farmers that have not been paid, and I don't know where we're going to get the money someday. I have no clue.
Things happen with Dennis, and he may never be able to make it completely right, but he can show he cared about these people. And if he just made a little payment every month, that would change your mind about him. That, yeah, he is deep down a good guy, and he knows he's done wrong and he's trying to make amends.
Up next, keep an eye out for foliar diseases in your corn and soybean fields.
Starting to protrude through the bottom.
There's torque. Then there's 1,050 pound-feet of available best-in-class torque. There's towing. Then there's up to 37,000 pounds of available best-in-class towing. There's backing up a trailer. Then there's backing up with available class-exclusive Pro Trailer Backup Assist. In other words, there are trucks, and then there's the new Ford Super Duty, the most capable heavy-duty pickup truck ever built.
While no major outbreaks of foliar diseases in corn have emerged, now is the time to scout fields for northern leaf blight, gray leaf spot, and tar spot.
So northern leaf blight, we're looking for cigar-shaped lesions. They're fairly large and pretty easy to spot when you're walking through the canopy. Grey leaf spot are much smaller, confined within the lesions, sometimes a little bit of a browning around that lesion. Again, relatively easy to identify. Tar spot is the trickier one, especially at this time of the season, because we're really talking about 1 or 2 spots per leaf and generally fairly low on the plant at this time of the year. And so they can be just hard to spot. Tar spot will be embedded in the leaf, and when you turn the leaf over, it should be protruding through the bottom side as well. So that's sort of a characteristic to look for. We've had a lot of confusion with bug poop or insect frass. The thing that distinguishes tar spot from insect poop is basically, will it dissolve or not? So insect poop will wipe off that leaf.
If one or more of these diseases are present and conditions are favorable, a fungicide application can help to reduce disease and yield loss. For tar spot, the best fungicide application timing is typically between VT-R1 through R3.
We're recommending mixed mode of action. So what I mean by that is 2 modes of action contained within that single formulation. They tend to be providing a little bit better control than a single mode of action product. And there's added benefits in terms of managing fungicide resistance there as well. Use a single mode of action, we may see development of fungicide resistance sooner.
Chilvers says growers also need to keep a lookout for foliar diseases in soybeans, including septoria leaf spot, frog eye leaf spot, and white mold.
In terms of those foliar diseases, I mean, I think white mold is our biggest issue here in Michigan. When the conditions are right, we can really see some significant losses there. So that's one of the really big ones. Frog eye leaf spot is not as much of a concern. Where we inoculated the pathogen in promoted conditions, we did see a 20 bushel difference though between where we had sprayed or not sprayed. So if conditions are favourable, it's certainly something to take seriously. Again, I'd be more concerned with that in southern Michigan and just keeping an eye on how things develop. So when we're looking for a septoria brown spot, that generally occurs in the lower part of the canopy. And as we said before, we just don't want that to be moving up into the canopy where it can start doing a lot of damage and we see yield loss to that. So we're looking for brown spots. It causes a yellowing of the leaf and very often defoliation. So you can see it in the bottoms of these canopies. It's in here, right down low there, causing a little bit of defoliation. At low levels, it really doesn't do a great deal of damage, but if it moves up to mid-canopy, then it can potentially impact yield.
For corn and soybean foliar fungicide efficacy charts and other resources, visit cropprotectionnetwork.org. Coming up, MDARD weighs in on MEEP standards for 2022.
At Farm Bureau Insurance, the experience you get with our local trusted advisors is different. From financial security to a helping hand, Farm Bureau understands the experience matters. Find an agent who can protect what matters to you.
The Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development is recommending the Michigan Agriculture Environmental Assurance Program standards remain unchanged for 2022. The department's recommendation came during the Michigan Ag Commission's July meeting. The review, which is done yearly, comes as lawmakers, stakeholders, including Michigan Farm Bureau, and MDARD work out an agreement to extend MEEP program funding another 5 years. Legislation before the Michigan Senate Ag Committee would do just that. However, MDARD opposes the bill. The legislature briefly met this week, but lawmakers are mostly on summer break until the fall. For more news and videos, visit MichiganFarmNews.com or the Michigan Farm Bureau channel on YouTube. With Farm News 5, I'm Janelle Brose. Have a great week of farming.